On my son's 6th birthday, I took him to pick out any toy he wanted. He chose a $14 race car and smiled like he'd won the world. 10 minutes later, a white store clerk screamed at him to put it back, accused him of stealing, and said, his kind always tries to walk out with something. What she didn't know? I was his father. I was 5 feet away, and I don't let anyone humiliate my child. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments. There's a special kind of joy a father feels when his son turns 6. It's like you're watching the beginning of real memories forming, the ones that last a lifetime. He starts to talk like you, walk like you, laugh like you, and on his birthday, he thinks you're the biggest hero in the world. So on my son Marcus's 6th birthday, I took the whole day off. No emails, no meetings, no calls, just him and me. We had pancakes with too much syrup. We went to the park, chased squirrels, and rode bikes until our legs gave out. Then we went to the toy store, his favorite place in the world. I told him, pick anything you want, champ. Today's yours. His eyes lit up like Christmas. We walked into Jungle Joy, a neighborhood toy store that had been around forever. It was the kind of place that smelled like plastic and dreams. Shelves packed from floor to ceiling, aisles tight and colorful, music soft in the background. Marcus made a beeline to the car section. He passed by the big, flashy sets and stopped at a small shelf near the back, where the simple race cars were. He picked one up, blue with silver stripes. Cost $14. Turned to me and said, Daddy, this one goes fast. I want this one. That's the one then. He held it tight, not in a sneaky way, not hiding it, just proud, like he owned something cool for the first time in his little life. I smiled, reached for my wallet, and we walked together toward the checkout. There was a small line at the front, so I told Marcus, go wait by the entrance. I'll pay and come get you. He nodded and trotted over to the glass doors, no more than 10 feet away, car still in hand, smile still glowing. I handed the cashier my card, the receipt printed, and then I heard it, a loud, sharp voice, cutting through the store like a slap. Hey, put that down. That's not yours. I turned. A white woman, maybe in her mid-30s, blonde ponytail, red Jungle Joy polo shirt, was marching toward Marcus with her hand outstretched like she was about to grab him. I said, put it down. You didn't pay for that. Marcus froze. He looked back at me, eyes wide, face confused. I watched his little hands tremble. My dad got it for me, he said softly. She didn't even flinch. Don't lie, kid. I saw you come from the back. You didn't go to the counter. Where's your parent? That's when I stepped in. I'm his father, I said, walking fast toward them, holding up the receipt. And I just paid for that. She turned, startled, but still defiant. Sir, he was holding merchandise without a receipt. That's store policy. I cut her off. That's not store policy. That's you profiling a 6-year-old black boy because he was standing near the door. Her cheeks flushed red. Excuse me. You heard me. He was standing where I told him to stand. And instead of checking with your cashier, you chose to jump on him like he was stealing. He's 6. Customers were staring now. A couple had their phones out. Marcus looked scared, holding the car against his chest like someone was about to rip it away. I knelt beside him. You're okay, champ. Don't move. Daddy's got this. Then I stood up and pulled my phone from my pocket. Say what you just said again. This time on camera. Her expression changed. Sir, there's no need for that. No? Because you just said, his kind always tries to walk out with something. Want to deny it? Because I've got half the store as witnesses. She backed up a step. You're blowing this out of proportion. He's a child. You humiliated him in front of strangers. And you did it with certainty. You didn't ask. You accused. Loudly. She looked at the people around her. No one spoke for her. The other cashier stepped back. A manager peeked out from the office. I walked to the front counter, held up the receipt, and placed it gently in front of the manager. This is your store's receipt. I paid for that toy 3 minutes ago. I'm going to need an apology. A real one. From her. To my son. In front of these people. The manager, a younger man, nervous, probably new, nodded quickly. Yes, of course. Sir, I'm so sorry. This is completely unacceptable. He turned to her. She stood frozen. Say it, I said quietly. Or I walk out of here with this video and a lawyer. She swallowed hard. Then, in a robotic voice, she turned to Marcus and said, I'm sorry. I was mistaken. I looked at him. His eyes didn't understand. But he nodded anyway. It's okay, he whispered. But it wasn't okay. Not for me. Because later that night, after cake and candles and cartoons, he asked me, "Daddy, do people think I'm bad?" And that was the moment I knew. This wasn't going to end in the store. I didn't sleep that night. Even after the birthday cake was gone. Even after Marcus knocked out on the couch, toy car still clutched in his little fist, frosting on his cheek. I just sat at the kitchen table, staring at my phone. Replay. Pause. Replay. The moment that woman pointed her finger at him, like he was already guilty. The way Marcus's face fell. How his shoulders dropped. Like something invisible had settled on his back. He was 6, and she'd made him question whether he had the right to exist in joy. That broke me. I posted the video the next morning. No hashtags. No angry caption. Just, "This is what happened to my 6-year-old son." At a toy store. On his birthday. I didn't expect it to spread like wildfire. But by noon, it had 32,000 views. By dinner, over 300,000. By midnight, 1.4 million. Comments poured in like a flood. This happened to my son at 5. I never forgot. My daughter was accused of stealing a book in 3rd grade. Same energy. This rage is generational. I'm tired of being tired. And then came the messages. Reporters. Community activists. Former employees from Jungle Joy. One DM stood out. "I worked at that store. That woman's name is Katie. She's had 3 complaints before. 2 about black customers. 1 about a Hispanic teen. They always covered for her." I screenshotted everything. Saved it. And called a friend of mine, civil rights lawyer, good one. We filed a formal discrimination complaint the next day. Against the store. Against Katie. Against the manager who let her walk off with a half-hearted apology. We attached the video. Witness testimonies from comment threads. Time-stamped receipts. Marcus's pediatric therapist's note about the emotional impact. Yes, I took him the very next day. I don't play about my child's spirit. Then I called the corporate office. You'd be amazed how fast executives pick up when you say, "You have a 1,000,000-view PR disaster and a formal complaint pending." They stammered, apologized, asked for time to investigate. I gave them 48 hours. Meanwhile, the world kept watching. A morning show reached out. A community organizer asked if we'd come speak at a rally. One woman started a GoFundMe for the little boy with the race car. I asked her to take it down. We didn't need charity. We needed accountability. But what hit me most was Marcus. He didn't talk much the next day, just quietly pushed his car across the coffee table, staring at it. At one point, he said, "If I didn't touch it, would she still be mad at me?" That question punched a hole in my chest, because I knew exactly what he was asking. Is my existence a trigger? 2 days later, corporate called back. They wanted a meeting. I said no. I wanted it on record. So we set up a Zoom call. Me, my lawyer, a VP from corporate, and the store's legal team. They offered a written apology, firing the employee, sensitivity training for the staff, a donation to a local racial justice nonprofit. I told them, that's a start, but it's not enough. Because here's the thing. You can fire a Katie. You can write a statement. But what you can't do is undo the moment a 6-year-old boy learned the world sees him as suspicious before he even speaks. I told them, you don't just owe us. You owe every black child who walks into your store from this day forward. I want policy change. I want independent oversight. I want those complaints you buried released. And I want a public acknowledgement that this happened, not buried in PR speak. They paused, then said, we'll discuss it internally. That night, I sat on the porch with Marcus asleep inside. I thought about my own childhood. I remembered being accused of stealing a Snickers at 10. I had $1 in my hand. The clerk never asked, just grabbed my wrist. And I remembered going quiet after that. Now it was my son, and I swore to myself, it ends here. 2 more days passed. Then the email came. We accept your terms. They agreed to everything. Katie? Fired. The manager? Placed on probation. Internal review launched. Full staff retraining program created, monitored by a third-party racial justice group. Public statement drafted, and, per our request, approved by me before publication. The statement dropped that Friday. We failed. We allowed a situation in one of our stores to harm a child, and we take full responsibility. We are committed to rebuilding trust and making our stores safe and welcoming for every family, especially black and brown children who have too often been treated with suspicion instead of respect. It ran on the homepage for a week. It was reposted over 70,000 times. And more importantly, It wasn't just about Marcus anymore. It was about every kid who's ever been treated like a threat while doing something as innocent as holding a toy. But the real win came when I showed Marcus the news. He sat on my lap, watching the screen. Saw his own name, just M, for privacy. Saw the words, "Child wrongly accused." Father fought back. He looked up and said, "Daddy, is that me?" I nodded. "Yes, son. That's you." He smiled slow-wide. "You're my hero." I hugged him tight. But what he doesn't know yet is that he's mine. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments. A week after the apology went live, the store mailed Marcus a new toy car, limited edition, blue and gold, with his name engraved on the bottom. He held it for about 10 seconds before putting it back in the box. "I like the first one better," he said. I didn't press him, because that first car, the one they tried to shame him for, had become a symbol now, not just of innocence, but of resistance. It sat on his bookshelf now, next to his favorite dinosaur, like a quiet trophy. The story didn't fade like some online scandal. It lived, because it struck a nerve deeper than outrage. It hit the place inside every Black parent that fears a stranger's assumption could become their child's identity. That a kid who just wanted to laugh, play, exist, could be seen as a problem before he even opens his mouth. The store chain followed through on their promises. 3 months later, they launched a new national campaign called Every Child Counts. Staff across all stores received mandatory training focused on racial bias and de-escalation. A public report was issued quarterly to show progress. They even partnered with a local nonprofit to create a program that gave free toys to kids from underfunded neighborhoods. It didn't undo what happened, but it was a shift, a necessary one. And it started because one man, one father, refused to let it slide. As for me, I changed too. I used to believe I could protect my son from the world by teaching him to be polite, to be careful, to be still. But now I know the world will come for him anyway. So I started teaching him something else. To be proud, to speak, to exist without apology. One Saturday morning, a few months later, Marcus and I were walking into a bookstore. There was a display up front, a stack of books on justice and equality. And right there in the middle was a children's book with a familiar-looking boy on the cover. It was written by an author who'd followed our story. He dedicated it to every kid who was seen the wrong way, and every parent who refused to look away. Marcus didn't notice the resemblance, but he picked up the book anyway. "Can we get this one?" I smiled. "We already did, son." Later that night, I found him asleep in his bed, arms around both cars, the first and the second, like they belonged together. And maybe they did. One was joy, the other was justice. Both were part of him now. I went out to the porch, sat with my tea, and looked at the stars. I thought about my father, how he once told me, "They'll try to make you small before you ever grow." He was right. But now we grow louder. We grow prouder. We grow together. Because my son didn't just survive that day. He learned that when the world gets loud, his father gets louder. And that is a lesson he'll carry long after the cars stop rolling. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next one.